Hello and welcome to Hak5. Thank you so much for joining us here on the Hak5 live stream. As always, I'm Darren Kitchen and I'm so excited because today I'm joining you all with our talented dev team with Seb and Dallas and Mark and Henry, and I can't contain myself. Guys,
Hey.
Hey,
Nice to be here.
we are seriously being represented now by 5 different time zones, and I couldn't be more excited for this introductory release of Cloud C2. It is, I don't know, an intersection of like the unique hardware that you've come to know and love from Hak5 and our software expertise, but really, moreover, this product is the tireless efforts of this team, the blood, sweat, and I doubt tears, but definitely segfaults of this dev team. And to be honest, guys, I could not be more proud. So I don't know where you are in the world, but I just want to hear a huge hand for the Hak5 dev team. The whole Hak5 office is going nuts. This has been in development for the longest time, and we're so excited to be sharing it with you today. What we're demoing now, what we're going to be releasing now is a revolutionary new tool for the whole Hak5 arsenal. Cloud C2 is a complete command and control suite for all of your Hak5 gear, and it's specifically made for IT security professionals and penetration testers so you can get the most out of your Hak5 gear, so your Wi-Fi pineapples and your LAN turtles and your packet squirrels. And I know that once you see this, you're going to agree that it's a total game changer. When you can confidently deploy Hak5 gear at a client site and have it all tied together in a beautiful cloud dashboard, it really becomes a force multiplier. And what better time to be releasing this than now? Just thinking back, it is almost to the day 10 years since the very first Wi-Fi Pineapple made its debut. I've got one of them in the shadow box here from the archives. And I think, it was like September something of 2008. And here we are 10 years later, having refined the hardware in so many ways, having added so much to the capabilities of the software, and really, this is just going to take it to the next level. In more recent years, we've added so much more to the arsenal than just the Wi-Fi pineapples. Your LAN turtles and your packet squirrels, even your LAN turtle 3Gs, and the kind of amazing stories we've heard from penetration testers at conferences like DEF CON about the places that these have found themselves that unfortunately we can't share with you right now. But today we want to make that process even easier. So you can just easily deploy Hak5 gear, remotely manage it, and really gain some big picture insights that when you can tie in all of that data in a single dashboard, when you can have all of those internal agents coming to you with all of that information, what you can glean out of that, not just being in a client's network, but also in the airwaves, is kind of amazing. So in order to get into kind of the technology, I want to take you through a story here of the technology that is underlying of this, as we are huge tech nerds, and where this will allow us to go, and we'll do a demo and we'll get right into it. But I want to introduce, of course, our CTO and my good friend, Sebastian Kenna.
Thanks, Darren. So when we set out to develop the Cloud C2, we wanted something very simple. And the idea was to build something that was as simple to use. Well, the idea originally came from being able to manage a fleet of Wi-Fi pineapples. We wanted to be able to remotely access Wi-Fi pineapple, to be remotely able to do your pen tests. And then we said, okay, what about if we want to do many? And it kind of evolved from there. And we wanted something that is easy to set up, so you don't have to do your reverse SSH tunnels and your proxies. And we just wanted something very, very simple. And so after talking to a bunch of our customers, everything from your pen testers, your hackers, to your professionals, well, not that they aren't, but we wanted to build something that was really, really easy to deploy. So as far as technology is concerned, we've developed a rock solid platform that would scale. So something that you deploy once and it can update, and it will update your devices, and you can throw as many devices at it as you want. But yeah, so after
Yeah,
kind
and
of
speaking, speaking of simple, Seb, it was years ago that we refined together the web interface for the Wi-Fi Pineapple, right? It's been through numerous iterations, from green boxes on black backgrounds to what we have today, and I think we've really nailed it as far as that user experience is concerned. And I feel like what we're doing here is we're taking a lot of that lessons from the Wi-Fi Pineapple and we're applying it to all of the Hak5 gear in such an easy way.
Right. Yeah. So we wanted to build something that was cross-platform and that was a single executable, so that you can run it on your local laptop, be it Linux, Mac, or OS X. We want you to be able to run it on a Pi. We want you to be able to deploy it in the cloud, right? So Cloud C2. For that reason, we chose Go. I could go on forever about that, but I'm not gonna. But as a side advantage of this, we got we have a super lightweight process. It barely uses CPU, barely uses RAM, which means that we can throw a lot more at the server and have the server do a lot more number crunching and statistics crunching for you, and do automated testing and reports instead of having to do all that on the devices. It's also self-hosted, so we didn't want you to, there's lots of things that speak well for SaaSes, but we wanted you to be in control of your data, and we wanted you to be able to manage your deployment. And it's very upgradable. That means that to update the C2, all you do is publish the upload the new C2 image and execute it. Shut down the old one, execute the new one, and it's done. There's no upgrade path. It's simple. And in reality, there is an upgrade path. There is an upgrade path. The the cloud server will be able to update itself and all the clients that are connected to it. So if you have Pineapples deployed in the cloud.
I just want to emphasize what you just said there. And all of the clients connected to it, all of the devices, so your Pineapples and your Squirrels and your Turtles that are deployed in the field, and you're like, oh, don't touch it, it's not, don't break it, right? You're telling me that I don't have to run, to the client site and manually update all of those devices.
Absolutely, yeah. So the cloud server will push updates, and it can either be automatic or whenever you feel like updating the devices. The server will update itself, so there's pretty much no interaction required on your end, and that your devices are safe and sound. To make that happen, though, obviously, we want to make sure that, because there's remote communications going backwards and forwards, we wanted to make sure that everything is encrypted. So it's all wrapped in AES and is signed, so communications can be trusted. And the whole protocol is built upon protocol buffers, which means we have backwards and forwards compatibility between devices, and allows us to chunk up or transport over pretty much any method of any type of communication methods, such as, right now we do HTTP and HTTPS, but we're also adding things like, TCP, UDP, ICMP, DNS, and all of that is possible because we have this protocol that easily chunks over these transport methods. But obviously, security is a big concern, and as such, we wanted to offer HTTPS out of the box for the web interface to be able to manage your Cloud C2. And so for that reason, we actually built in Let's Encrypt into the binary to be able to pull a certificate automatically. Now, this isn't mandatory. You can still do your own setup and so on, but if you want to do it, you literally just add -HTTPS to the startup script or to the binary when you start it up as a command line argument, and you have HTTPS deployed within seconds. And this is really just scratching the surface. There's so many things that we have on the roadmap. There are so many things that we're able to do with this, the Cloud C2, and I think everyone's probably keen to see it now. So I'd like to introduce Dallas, our newest member to the team, to walk you through the demo.
Yeah, thank you, Seb.
I'm really excited about this. Thanks, Dallas, for joining us, because I have actually got a copy of Cloud C2 spun up here on one of my servers. I've got a couple of devices connected to it, so I hope that you could help me as say potentially a newcomer to this, get the most out of this. Dallas, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, no, thank you, Darren and Seb. So yeah, let's take a look at that C2 you have spun up.
Okay, so I'm sitting here on the dashboard. I've just logged in. Walk me through. What do I do right off the bat?
So right here we have the dashboard, and right from the beginning you'll notice that we're showing you the devices you have online as well as their clients and the AP landscape. What we'll want to do from here is, you can see up in the top left, you can go over to the devices listing tab. Here we have a table of all our devices. You can see the uptime, how much data is transferred through it, the number of clients it's currently hosting, as well as details about the firmware, IP addresses, and you can get a sense of exactly where this device is deployed live in the field. So why don't you go ahead and click on one of the devices, say the 17th Street Wi-Fi Pineapple, for example.
All right, so I've got a Pineapple here deployed, and that jumps me over to this overview.
Yeah, so actually, if you go back to the Devices tab where you just work, and let's click on another device, say the Land Turtle 3G. And now you'll notice we have tabs populating across the top, so you can quickly manage all of the devices at once, basically. So
Don't
from the
ask
overview,
that was to build.
Yeah,
exactly.
Now this is some really cool stuff because now I'm essentially tabbing across. I've got a squirrel, a land turtle, and a Wi-Fi Pineapple open here in this interface, and I'm managing all three of them from a single UI.
Yeah, and it's really easy to switch between them, and yeah, you'll see if you go back to the landing page. This is the overview for the particular devices. So from here we can see data usage. It's similar to the table, but more information. And then on the left, you'll see an interface similar to what you're already familiar with the Wi-Fi Pineapple. And you can go through the tabs on the left. For example, on this Pineapple, we can open PineAP. And here you'll see some statistics about the SSID pool. You'll see all your options for managing PineAP, just like the Wi-Fi Pineapple interface. You'll see your SSID pool. You can add and remove those as you please. You can clear them. And we have a count of captured SSIDs over the lifetime of the device on the right. And you can see on the left we have a bunch of other tabs. For example, Recon. And Mark here crafted this beautiful looking UI. Mark, could you tell us a bit about this Recon page?
Yeah, so at a glance, the top three CADs show you the total access points. They show you how many associated clients you have to all the access points in your wireless landscape, and then it breaks it down just a little bit into the total unassociated clients and the total out-of-range clients. And then it also tells you when the last recon scan was run. If you go ahead and click on previous scans, you can pick all the previous ones. So people familiar with the Wi-Fi Pineapple will know what to do with that. And then just like on the Pineapple, it shows you each access point and underneath each row all the clients associated. So it gives you a nice overview of the landscape for that particular Pineapple. And that allows you to have a nice overview of every place a Pineapple in your cloud controller is connected to.
That is awesome.
Yeah, that was one of my favorite features when we brought Recon, the new Recon, especially that's live to the Pineapple when you're directly connected to your Wi-Fi Pineapple. But now the concept is this is planted in a box on 17th Street here in Oakland, and remotely I'm now able to see this stuff. And so I'm imagining similar to how it works on the Wi-Fi Pineapple, except with prettier checkboxes. I can now just check this Recon box and start scanning and get live data about all of the infrastructure and the clients and all the airwaves.
That you can, and we'll see it's just loading up here. And once the device checks back in, you should have a ton of Recon data.
And there we go. And this is live data, which is really exciting because it will actually continue to update as I'm sitting here watching this, and then I can stop this and it will be saved as a new report. But this is what's tied in with what you were showing me on the home screen, where I'm looking at this AP landscape. I'm looking at the landscape of all of the Pineapples that are connected to this C2 instance here. So it's really cool.
Yeah, that's right. And then I think next off we have probes.
Yeah. So probes is really interesting because just like how on Recon, it lets you it lets you see at a glance which probes are most popular, lets you see which client is probing the most for certain access points, which clients, and then like first, second, and third, so you can see the most popular. It also lets you do the same thing for SSIDs, and then it gives you a total count of the probes. And this table is also sortable, so if you have one client or one SSID that you really want to get an insight on, then you can fill out just the information that you need.
Right, and that's a huge benefit because these are directed probes. These are devices that are looking for very specific access points, which put them at risk of falling prey to would-be honeypots. And that means that if this is deployed in an organization, even in a passive manner, you can start to gather this intelligence that is actionable. You can use this for remediation. And seeing that, if I go back to the Pine AP tab here, I've got the full suite. I can start checking the boxes here and broadcasting the SSID pool and the beacon response. And with the next one down being clients, I'm imagining, oh, there it is, not in danger mode, but with associations allowed. We can get to the filters in a moment. But that means that on this audit, just as I would with a Wi-Fi pineapple sitting right in front of me, I can now see which devices are susceptible to that kind of attack. And now I can actually provide that client with some really meaningful data to make sure that those devices, while they may be safe within the confines of the office at that organization with whatever else they have deployed in the airspace, when those people, with those BYOD devices or, those salespeople that go out on sales calls and such and leave the safety of the office, that they're not put at risk. And that's really exciting.
Yeah, it really is. And speaking of the clients,
right?
Something that's really awesome about this page, as opposed to the Wi-Fi Pineapple web interface we're all used to, is that we have a history of previous clients. So that means not only can you provide a nice report, you can provide exact times that devices associated and disassociated and change their SSID and all that fun stuff, see how vulnerable they are. And in case you're not into hacking everybody, there's the filters page, which we're all used to, where you can control the spray, so to speak, and that's to make sure that only yeah, there you go.
There we go. So I can add this SID to the list, which means that it's only going to be capturing clients that are looking for that access point. Or if I have, the MAC addresses of the various clients that at this organization that I've been tasked with auditing, I can make sure that I, really limit the scope of engagement so that there's no collateral damage, as it is a shared space here. It's the reason why I don't have any clients in here currently. But if I were to, put these into a deny mode and put any of my devices into a vulnerable state, we would see them. And like you said, Dallas, not just now, but historically.
Yep. And that's awesome because that opens up a lot of opportunity for some useful insights, some statistics. And not only that, something else that's really neat, and my favorite part is we have the terminal, and I think that's Seb's favorite part also. And
oh my God,
bet he would love to talk about it.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so that one is a fun one. So I tweeted about it a little bit. I was trying to shoehorn reverse shells into a bunch of different ways. How do you best get over anything? How do you get a callback, right? And so the easiest is obviously, okay, so we have an SSH tunnel, and that's fine. And you could set up, port forwarding and then, have it go back and forwards, and you have to have, say you do remote SSH forwarding, then you have to increment the port for every device. So you'd start with, 2022, 2023, 2024 for like all your devices. But now you're also relying on OpenSSH or another SSH server on the device. So that wasn't good enough. So what we did is we added an SSH server into the binary, which is, awesome. So basically what we do is we allow, we have the client devices, the pineapples, the squirrels, the turtles, connect directly, SSH directly into the Cloud C2. And then through there, we're actually able to establish a reverse TCP connection over that tunnel by kind of faking it. It doesn't actually do port forwarding, it just thinks it does because packets. Yeah, so that's how we get a reverse shell, and that's how you have multiple sessions, so you can have multiple people or multiple tabs with different terminal sessions going and not conflicting. And the nice thing is, because of the protocol that I talked about earlier, you actually have the ability, we'll actually have the ability to shoehorn that through there too. So we'll be able to get shells, even though they're going to be slow, but kind of like Mosh-like shells over TCP, over DNS, ICMP, and so on.
Seb, I absolutely love that, this, when you think about what you had to do previously to get something like this, with all of the, like you said, SSH with the forwards and the proxies and everything else under the sun, and you're just like, oh, well, let's just solve this by shoehorning so many different technologies together, and to the point where you're developing your own SSH server. And really, it's astounding, because what I love as the user now is that when I look at this, when I'm here on the web interface, I literally just click on terminal, and if I do an ls, this feels so natural, copy and paste and everything else that I'm used to. In fact, if I run top, and it's acting exactly as I would expect it to, and I can easily just tab over to, say, now I'm in a land turtle, right? And I've got a turtle shell here, just the way that I'm used to managing the land turtle. And if I want to open Nano, I've got my favorite text editor, and I'm not really thinking about the technology, Seb. I mean, don't get me wrong. This is why I asked you to talk about the technology, because I love it and you love it. But what's even cooler is that at a certain point, you don't have to think about it. It just works.
And that's kind of what we wanted to do with the Cloud C2, is that we wanted to have something that, our mantra was always make it do the thing. We wanted something that just works. We wanted it to be very, very simple, so that you can, get your work done and not have to mess around with setting everything up. Single binary, config files on the devices, you're done. Ship them out, install them, lay them out, doesn't matter. But as long as you have an internet connection, you'll get a shell and you'll get a connection back.
Right, and I think you just hit on a really important point there as well, Seb, is the provisioning. That's really important. That's like an aspect where you want to be able to go into an engagement, and you may not know the landscape that you're getting into. So you're like, well, what settings should I set this up for? You don't have to think about that. It's literally, like you said, one file, device.config, copy it to /etc on your device, and then figure it out when it calls home. You can ship it. You can just send it in you can ship it to the client, and if they can plug Ethernet and power into your device, then you're good to go. It calls home to your C2, and then you can figure out all of the different attacks and all of the fun things that you want to do. But as far as provisioning this, I really don't think this could be easier when you've got this list here and you're just like, oh, let me just click plus. Let me just we're gonna put a new Wi-Fi pineapple in the I don't know, in the break room, right? And then we just choose the device type, Wi-Fi pineapple, add device. And now I've got a new listing here, and I just hit this setup button and download a file. I'm just downloading a file, and it's just copy paste.
Yep.
That couldn't be easier.
Yeah, you just put the file into the /etc. That's it, and across all the devices, and you're ready to go. Reboot the device, and you're done.
Yeah, there's really something to be said about having that confidence that, if it has an internet connection, it's going to come back to you. And especially as you were talking about with the modularity of the transport mechanisms, the ability to traverse firewalls if need be in the future with various different protocols. And even right now, just with HTTP and HTTPS, being able to have that connection to those devices is immense. I know I have right now a 3G LAN turtle, and in fact, I can just switch to it now, and yeah, here we are. I'm on my land turtle, and I'm in, I'm here in Nano, right? I can close that file, not save it, and type in turtle.
Yeah.
And now I'm in the turtle shell. And I can be
Yeah.
managing this just as if so previously, where you had to kind of think ahead and be like, oh, how am I going to set up whatever attack or whatever have you, and then do it and then deploy it and then, hope for the best. And, most likely if you set everything up right, it's going to be fine. But now it takes all of that out. Now it's just like, oh, well, let me just drag and drop that device config or SCP that device config over and call it a day.
Yes, you switched to me, so I'll just agree. No, exactly, and I know that there's a couple of questions which we'll talk about later, but in terms of how to provision and so on. But the nice thing is, even though right now we have the pineapple, the turtle, and the squirrel as our 3 devices, or the 3 different squirrels, I guess. Sorry, turtles. We can also add support for things like the bash bunny. And we actually have a really interesting project there, which allows the bash bunny to communicate and relay information back to the C2, which I think is a very, very powerful thing for the future.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, speaking of the future, what we're seeing here is, version 1.0 of Cloud C2 and what's possible. And in, the coming months, there's so much more in planning and just to see how this came together, planning and designing and executing this and knowing the roadmap for the future. I'm so proud of this because it is such a amazing foundation on which we can build the next era of pen testing with Hak5 gear. And I'm so proud to be able to share this with you and to see your guys' labor, because you guys, the dev team, really knocked it out of the park, killed it with this one. And I'm really excited to see what's possible now. When coupled with the right Hak5 gear, this really does make it a force multiplier. So I'm really excited that today we are finally releasing Cloud C2. We're releasing it in 2 versions. So there is a non-commercial community edition available that is absolutely free. You can go and download it right now from hackshop.com/C2. So if you're a student, if you're an enthusiast, just start playing. And let us know if you want a commercial version as an individual penetration tester. We're keeping this ultra affordable, starting at just $500. And I highly encourage you all to go and check it out. And most of all, to provide that feedback that has guided us along the way. It's your feature requests. It's the conversations that we have with you on IRC and at conferences that have really guided the way and allowed us to shape the products that we make for you, the community. So, we now have a Cloud C2 section on the forums. And I encourage you can actually use the contact form right there on the hackshop.com/C2. And there's so much more awesome stuff coming, not even just for Cloud C2, but also with PineAP. And it really takes this to the next level of what's possible of managing all of these devices and creates a totally different user experience. So I'm really proud of that. Okay, so before we get into Q&A, I will say that if you're a Hak5 loyal fan, we are having a special now through October. If you do want that professional version, you can bundle it with any new Hak5 gear and get 20% off. So that means if you need a new pineapple or a land turtle or a packet squirrel, just add that to your cart along with Cloud C2 Pro and check out with this super easy to remember coupon code. It's literally C2 for 20% off that. And I just have to say once again, thank you so much to this amazing dev team who have worked tirelessly for the last few months to really put together an amazing piece of software, now joining us from 4 different time zones around the world. It's so exciting to see what's possible, you guys.
Yeah, I have to say it's one of those things that that I didn't think I could clone myself, but I think we got very close, and we did the math. We have a 24/6 uptime around the globe. So yeah, we're crunching away and hopefully doing great things.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see the feedback that we get from the C2 and different ways to improve it in the future. And yeah, it's going to be exciting.
Yeah, as you know, Foxtrot is our UI wizard. I know he hates it, but he's so good at it. So if there's anything in the UI, just blame him. Always blame him.
Yeah, it's all me. Lucky me.
Unfortunately, I haven't been heavily involved in the C2 project. I've mainly been spending time getting PineAP to play nice with C2 client with Dallas. I've actually been talking to Dallas for quite a long time, and we have some really interesting ideas for how we can integrate them further, and we've got a few tricks up our sleeves. So stay tuned for that.
That speaks volume to the fact that the dev team, as a team now, are working multiple work streams. While some are working to develop Cloud C2, others are supporting the effort and taking Wi-Fi hacks to the next level. I know you were instrumental with Wi-Fi Pineapple Enterprise and so many more really cool Wi-Fi hacks coming to the platform, and I know that those will find their way into Cloud C2. So everybody is playing a really important role here, and I'm stoked what we're able to pull off now.
Absolutely.
Yep. It's really exciting.
Cool.
So,
okay. We should probably sign off on the video on demand version. So for all of those, I will say thank you for tuning in. Of course, your feedback is absolutely welcome. Please hit us up. With that, as always, I'm Darren Kitchen, and for all of us here at Hak5, trust your technolust. And for the rest of us on the live stream that want to get into some Q&A, we have the opportunity to do that now.
Yeah. So we've got the chat up. So if anyone wants to field questions our way, we'll happily answer anything within reason.
What shampoo do you use?
Why do I always get asked that question? It's like it's the one thing every year at DEF CON. Every year.
It smells fantastic. Trust me.
Why do you know what my hair smells like, though?
Just guess.
I told him.
Do we accept ideas? Yes, absolutely. We accept ideas. Showing the chat is never a good idea.
Yeah, no joke. No joke. Thanks, Seb, for the reminder. Because I have interneted before, and I know. Good times at the Hack House.
Yeah.
So somebody was just asking about PineAP Enterprise. So do you want to speak to that for those that haven't noticed the latest firmware from I guess a couple months ago now that adds some really amazing features?
Yeah. So a couple of months ago, just before DEF CON, we launched a firmware that allowed you to man-in-the-middle enterprise access, to man-in-the-middle enterprise clients. And we are going to be able to move those type of functionalities. So, starting over. So there's two main things that we've added in terms of wireless attacks that are currently not present in the Cloud C2. The first one is enterprise. That's something that we'll be adding very shortly, so that you're going to be able to manage the middle enterprise access points. And the second one is WPA handshake capture. So those are the two things that we're adding in terms of PineAP, and there's a lot of cool things that Henry is working on that we don't want to release just yet, but they're on the horizon and should be pretty earth-shattering.
Hopefully, it's been fun.
Yeah. Am I a wizard? Yes, always. You can go with your hat now. Darren, do you want to show like how easy it is to actually set up the server? Do we have anyone that can?
I've actually I do have a server here, so let me just tab over to my terminal, and I'll be able to actually I can bring this down and show you what it took. Oh my God, what it took to get this thing really going.
Before you do that,
yes.
I just want to put one more question. This Cloud C2 is not an upgraded Wi-Fi Pineapple. It's a augmentation of all Hak5 devices. So all Hak5 devices will be able to communicate with the Cloud C2. Well, all our network. So but be able to communicate with that, and you'll be able to manage that. So we'll be able to do a lot more with it, but it's not new hardware.
Yeah.
I did see someone ask what the difference is between the community and the pro version is. The main difference is the devices limit, but you can find out more information at hackshop.com/product/C2.
Right. And, essentially what we want to do is make sure that we always have, we're serving the enthusiasts, we're serving the students that want to get their hands on this and learn this. So, for the vast majority, I can't imagine anybody running into the sorts of limits. And really, the main difference, like you will find in most software, is that the difference between professional and the free community edition is your support and the commercial use of the service. And we find that the penetration testers, when you look at the types of tools that they're using, this is very aggressively priced, as most Hak5 products are. And we've received a lot of great feedback from that already. And of course, we value that. So please continue to let us know what you're thinking. And if you are running into any sorts of those limitations as an enthusiast, and what your deployment scenario is, because those are really the kinds of things that shape the way that we develop the products.
Yeah. And there was another question: will there be a C2 phone app? There won't need to be, because it works very nicely on mobile. So it's very responsive and works as the Wi-Fi Pineapple interface does, if not better. So it's all it's going to work just fine on mobile and on tablets. Yeah.
I think it's also worth mentioning as far as the future goes. And Seb, I think you mentioned this briefly at DEF CON, but someone asked very earlier in the beginning of the chat about integration of other devices that are at Hak5.
Yeah, so the other devices, I kind of mentioned that a few minutes ago, but the other devices are, we have Dallas recently wrote a HTML or a single HTML page that's a JavaScript duck encoder, so to create Ducky inject up-ins. So we'll be integrating that into the Cloud C2 so that you don't have to also mess around with Java. So you might as well do that all in one place, and you'll be able to save payloads and so on to that. And then we have another edition coming for the Bash Bunny. So in a future firmware update, we'll be adding support, kind of proxying via the computer that's the Bunny is plugged into. And it's operating system agnostic as long as they have a web browser open. So then the Bunny will be able to reach back out to the Cloud C2 and be able to fed commands or updates or new payloads to run or exfiltrate data over that.
Right.
So that's all.
That one is kind of insane to think about, because the Bash Bunny itself doesn't have a network, but if you can use the network of the computer that is your target, it's just absolutely insane that then you would be able to have a shell right there on your Bash Bunny.
And
then to the question about it, the mobile app, or whether there is or is not one. This is the interface right here running in its responsive view, and we can see that it works just the same as it does on desktop. And I can change over to all these different tabs. I can pull up the menu over here, and I can switch around just like I would as if I were on the desktop version of it. And it feels really natural using this. It feels just like a regular app, which is in line with the design philosophy that we had with the Wi-Fi Pineapple's web interface. We do have an Android app for the Wi-Fi Pineapple, but it's merely a connector to enable you to provide internet access easily to those devices. So in the same way, this web app is absolutely mobile friendly.
Yeah, and sorry, I think I might have misunderstood a question earlier. There was a question about if it will support non-Hak5 devices. So I did mention that at DEF CON. We will be down the line supporting, and it depends on what type of support it is, right? But we want to make it relatively plug and play so that you'll be able to run a client on, for example, a Raspberry Pi to get some sort of telemetry back to your Cloud C2 to kind of help it augment the other Hak5 devices. So what the exact integration is and what exactly those devices will be able to do is still up for discussion, but we will definitely support other devices being able to plug into the C2.
Yeah, and that could easily be a game changer for this industry when you consider, what that means for, just being able to deploy inexpensive device, like the amount of value that you're getting from Cloud C2 with whether it's a turtle or a squirrel or a Pi, and really to see where it goes when you start integrating entire fleets of these devices and aggregating that data. And individually, none of these are very expensive devices, but when you suddenly imagine what capabilities you have with just a few pieces of inexpensive hardware deployed at a client site with a self-hosted solution where you're in control and can see all of the, I don't want to say battlefield because there's too much military jargon already in this industry, but you see the entire landscape and it changes everything. So I'm really excited about that.
Yeah. So just because we otherwise we'll forget about it, we should absolutely set up the Cloud C2 and see how easy it is, because I hear some people are having issues setting it up. Maybe we can.
Oh, absolutely. So what I'm going to do now, Seb, then is I'm just going to cut over to this terminal that I have, and I'm already logged into a very basic Linux box, and if I let's see, if I ls here, I have C2 Pro Linux C60 or 64-bit, and it was literally just a matter of SCPing that over. Once I downloaded the file, once I checked out and I got the zip file and I downloaded it, it's just copy it over to the server the way you would anything else, and /C2 Pro, and what else do I need to give it, Seb? Oh, yep, and there you go. And now you can see it as well.
So yeah. So if you just run that command now, it'll actually tell you that you're missing something. So it says the hostname argument is missing, and it shows you what to do. So it's pretty descriptive, right? You just specify a hostname, and that can be either a domain like that, or it can be the external IP address. But this is basically what the devices are being told to use, and it is what if it's a domain, what's going to be used to request the SSL certificate. So if we go back to the terminal, you'll see that. So if you do that right now, when it's configured that way, it won't be using HTTPS. So what you have to do is you just have to do -HTTPS, and now if you hit enter, it will automatically initialize the Cloud C2, set everything up, and as long as your DNS is pointed to the right place.
Which it is, so that's it. That's all I had to do.
Yeah, and now it should be available on that domain. So as long as your DNS is updated, we recommend deploying over DNS and not IP, just because if your IP changes or you have to, for some reason, move, right, always use a DNS, but it helps. And it's currently not possible to change the DNS while devices are deployed, although in the next update of the C2, we will be adding because the client devices can be updated, we will actually be allowing you to update configuration files on all the devices, which means that if you wanted to change your domain name, you'll be able to do so in the near future.
Yeah, that was stupid easy. And then on Windows and Linux, it's even easier, right? It's just run the command.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, if I double click it, do I get do I get prompted for those, or do I just have to run it from the command prompt?
Well, if you double click it, you'll have to run it from the command prompt. There's currently no thing. I probably should have added a wrapper around that, but yeah. So for now, just run it from the command.
It's almost as easy as double click. Almost.
Almost. Look, if you have to double click a server to then configure it, okay.
Somebody asked if they need a Wi-Fi pineapple to use the Cloud C2. You don't. It works for any one of the turtle, the squirrel, or the pineapple. So, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah. The one thing that you require a pineapple for in the UI right now is the dashboard. If you take a look at the dashboard of the Cloud C2, there's one section which says, I think AP landscape, I think is what it's called.
Yes, this right here, where I can see that there's
which shows you a
one
tree
enterprise
graph.
network, 69 WPA/WPA2s, and 12 open APs.
Yeah, so that kind of shows you, and that's an aggregate across all devices. So that'll show you all all recon scans that have been all the latest recon scans in that site. The other thing that we'll be adding in the future is a recon scan that was performed across all of your pineapples, so that if you have 12 pineapples deployed in one site, you'll have an aggregate of all of those recon scans versus having to look at them individually. And we're also adding, similar to how the pineapple works right now for recon, at least, how you're able to interact with access points from there. We'll be able to do the same thing via the Cloud C2.
Somebody asked what they use for the token when they do their C2 SELP. The token's printed when you first run the C2 client, when you first run the C2 server, sorry. It's printed in the terminal output.
Yeah, so it'll tell you the setup token is this, and it'll give you a setup token, and then it'll ask you for both a license key and the setup token. It's just so that no one can set up the Cloud C2 for you without having seen the console outlook.
Right, and that's very similar to the way that you set up, Hak5 devices. Like I have a Nano here, and to set this up, I have to physically press the button, when I'm very first getting it started out of the box. And that's just to make sure that I can prove that I'm the one that is supposed to legitimately be setting this up. You wouldn't want you wouldn't want somebody else to do that for you.
Right. All right. What else do we have?
I also saw someone said so NOLO for the Macs. There is a Mac server binary that you can use.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So it's in the when you download the server, you get a zip file, and it's going to contain 32-bit and 64-bit versions of everything apart from Darwin, which is OS X. That'll just be 64-bit. And the system requirements for it are basically minimal VPS. So right now, the one that we used for testing and development has 120 megs of RAM. Look, if you have a lot of devices and you're doing a lot of crunching further on, you might need more at some point. But so far, that seems to be enough. It doesn't require a lot of CPU power. I think current RAM usage during testing was 24 megs at its peak. Usually hovers around 4 to 6. So it's not very heavy on your RAM. And in terms of CPU power, again, it uses a very small fraction of your CPU.
If you ever have the pleasure of seeing Seb at a conference, just ask him about Golang.
Yes, I will talk for days on why it's an awesome language, and probably need to shut up more about that. In terms of can it run within a Docker container? It absolutely can. We will release a Docker container for it that just has the latest ones in it. But it's one of those things or like a Docker file at least that has it. But it's as simple as execute the file with your command line arguments. That's really all. So we decided not to release a Docker image on day one because it's a static binary. If you want to put in a Docker image, that's fine. And in terms of two-factor authentication, I did want to add TOTP to it for a while. We're actually going to add TOTP and YubiKey support, or U2F support, and then I guess the FIDO2 protocol once that's out done, we'll make sure that that's built into the Cloud C2 too, just because it makes sense to add and it's not very difficult.
Yeah, that also brings up two other questions related to privacy and security, which are who has access to the collected data, which also goes along with can it be run on a VPS, and we are paranoid and insane when it comes to data privacy here. To the point where even with the Wi-Fi Pineapple on its web interface, it never contacts us without you being in control of that. And as far as the data between these endpoint devices and your Cloud C2 instance, that is absolutely private between those two. Not only are they encrypted between the two, but they never leave those two places. So I know and that speaks also to virtual private servers. Yes, stupid simple to run this on a VPS. And for some organizations, they may have certain requirements where they don't want, even if it is encrypted, any of this leaving their own infrastructure, which means you can deploy this on a box on-prem and have it all completely self-contained. And as long as you can hit that, then you can get to that interface and you can do all of the same testing as if they were remotely calling out to the cloud. So either way you want to do it, inside or outside, Windows, Mac, Linux, and completely secure in between Cloud C2 and those devices. Did I sum that up well, Seb?
Yeah, absolutely, you did. The other thing I think that I got a question about is, now that was just private message to me, but encryption at rest. So the database that it creates is currently not encrypted at rest. So you should make sure that, that doesn't get owned. But at the same time, if the server is owned, then you can't trust the connections either. We are playing around with a way to have everything that's important anyway, anything that's identifiable information of those devices to be encrypted using private public key cryptography, so that you can actually certain things that are then locked away and that the server has no knowledge about, and then that gets decrypted on the client side. There's a lot of things there though, because the server has to have some sort of knowledge about the data. So how it gets encrypted and how it is run is still something we're solving. Yeah. And one last question that I can see, will the server run on a Raspberry Pi? It absolutely will, and we'll release binaries for ARM very soon. Another reason to use Go is it's very cross-platform, so it'll absolutely be able to compile for ARM and run on an ARM.
Yeah, I mean, technically speaking, this could run on a Pineapple and it could call back to itself, at 127.0.0.1, right?
Yeah, exactly. So we've actually, like, during development, we often run these servers on our local machine and have devices that are connected, like, either to us or on our network. So it's totally a legit thing to have the Cloud C2 server running on your laptop locally and have all the devices on the network, or bring your own network and perform your pen tests like that. Especially once we get into, and I know I've mentioned this a few times, but we for the Pineapple, for example, we're going to have automated wireless tests coming very soon, so that they'll give you a proper wireless assessment. These are the things that are wrong with the network. These are the misconfigurations. These are the misconfigured clients, and so on. Right. So to kind of do that, we're probably going to be utilizing the Cloud C2. So it's quite likely that when you go out in the field, even if you have a single Pineapple, you probably want to be using the Cloud C2 because it'll give you that extra oomph for your test. Silence.
Beautiful silence.
There's a lot of great questions in the chat, a lot related to things that aren't C2 specific, maybe mustache specific, but this is not the stream for that, I don't believe.
Yeah, and there's a question about dev libraries. So depending on where and what we release and on which platforms, there will be ways to integrate with it. We don't necessarily have a module system for it like we do on the Pineapple, or like payloads and so on. Right now, this is very much like first party. But we are looking at ways on how we can open this up to allow, custom scripts to be run, custom actions, and be able to hook into it. There is an API, and we will be publishing API credentials, API documentation for it, in case you do want to pull or include these things into your own dashboards or your other systems. And at the same time, we will be working on having better integration with CMs and so on, so that you're going to be able to actually push this information into your notification systems and so on, and be able to do that easily. So we have all that coming.
Yeah, there's a huge roadmap, including all sorts of cool things like branded reports and everything under the sun that you might imagine from this kind of professional grade software. And we're very excited to be releasing 1.0 to you so that you can get it and start using it and providing this feedback. And while we have a huge list of features that we want to add, both for it and all of the devices themselves, we're really looking forward to hearing, those little conversations where you're like, hey, if only it did X, or if only it did Y. Harry here in chat's like, hey, can I deauth with Cloud C2? And it's like, not today, but you know what? Very soon, because why not deauth from Cloud C2?
So that's what I mentioned earlier. Is so the ability to deauthenticate, WPA handshake capture, WPA enterprise attacks, and so on. All of that is going to be merging into what we have as the Cloud C2 right now. And so everything that the Pineapple can do right now, everything that's first party anyway, we will be supporting, and then, or everything that makes sense anyway, because there are some things that are device specific, but even things like potentially switching network interfaces and so on is something we're considering to do. And good luck, Dallas, with that. That's going to be fun for you. So that's one big chunk. And the other thing is obviously everything that Pineapple does right now, but it will be able to do a lot more with that information, because one, you've got more processing power, and two, you've got the aggregated data and data over time, and you don't have to worry about storage and so on as much.
Okay. Well, this has been so much fun. We need to do these more often. We're coming up on the hour now, so unless there's any other questions, we are going to wrap. The team, I cannot begin to describe to you how tirelessly they have been working. They are all very excited to get a wink, and we are excited to you know what we should just say, Saturday, this Saturday, if you happen to be in Oahu and like fruity cocktails with pineapple developers, hit us up. We'll have a meetup.
Yeah, we're going on a little bit of a retreat, but if we're joking, but until we know that everyone is happy and so on, we will never rest.
Seb joke. He's not joking. No, I'm serious. He doesn't. The man does not sleep. But this dev team should, and I really want to thank everybody for joining us here on this live stream that's crossing so many time zones, and everybody here on the crew for staying up whatever hour it is there for you. Props to what Australia and what do we've got? GMT, we've got London-ish, we've got East Coast, West Coast. Just like you said, Seb, the sun doesn't stop shining on Hak5, it seems, right now. And thank you so much for all of you guys joining us. We're looking forward to hearing your feedback in the forums. Go and check out Cloud C2, hakshop.com/products/C2, or Seb, what's the pretty URL for that guy?
Sorry, say that again. You just cut out.
Let's just say it's hak5.org/C2, because I'm going to make sure that redirects.
If you go to c2.hak5.org, you will get redirected to all the correct places.
Yeah.
So c2.hak5.org.
There you go. Okay, well, with all of that, I'm Darren Kitchen, and it has been a pleasure to be joined by the entire Hak5 dev team.
Bye.
It's been an absolute pleasure being in the call. Thank you.
Yeah, it's been awesome.
It's been great.
Can't wait
Thanks,
to
guys.
sleep.
All right.
And again, thank you to the entire team. It's been a great project to work on together, and it's been really awesome.
All right.
Can't wait to see what's next.
We will see you on the internet. Trust your technolist.